Hey guys, in this video we're gonna replace the screen on an Acer laptop. It's an Acer Nitro 5. The particular model of this computer is a Nitro AN515-54. So the problem with this one, it's, as I mentioned, is the screen, which is cracked. I'm gonna show you right now. Okay, so you see has a crack right there. The screen have to be replaced, and without further ado, let me show you how to change the screen. Now, before asking me where did I get the part, how much is it or anything, just check the regular places like eBay or Amazon. They do sell plenty of those screens, so no need to ask questions where did I get the part. Now, the reason I'm making this video because replacing the screen in these ones, it's a little bit more complicated than on your average laptop. It might look easy, but it has a little thing you'll have to pay close attention to. So let's get into it. Now, make sure that the screen is off. If you want to be 100% sure that you're not shorting anything, you might want to actually disassemble, remove the bottom case, and disconnect the battery. But that's a video for some other time. It's not really required right now. Just make sure that the screen is off. Make sure the computer is not sleeping, and by doing that, by pressing the key buttons or the trackpad, and the screen doesn't get any image, that means the computer is completely off. Now, as you see here, you have a small bezel around the screen, right? Now this part right here will have to first be removed. That's a fairly easy thing to do. You'll take your pry tool, plastic or metal, whatever works for you, and start from the side. I'm gonna show you right here. So you start onto this edge, just put the pry tool right here, and you will lift, let's see, and the bezel will just click. There are some plastic retaining clips which they have to be loosened. You'll go like that on top, okay, so the top is removed. We're gonna move to the left side of the computer. Don't pull too much on the bezel. You don't really want to break it. It's not that easy to break, but not impossible. So okay, and now on the bottom you can just use your fingers just to pull it towards you, and there you go. The bezel is now removed, and you have the screen exposed. Now I'm gonna show you a different screen and why this is a little bit different than in other computers. This is a screen which I pulled out from a different machine, and you see on this one, you see these little metal tabs right here on the two on the bottom and two on the top of the screen. Now, many computers, they use screws to keep the screen in place, but that is not the case with the Nitro 5. Even though you might be able to see some screws right here, those are not used to keep the screen in place, but rather that's a hinge which comes from the bottom and it goes all the way behind the screen, and it catch up on the top of the back panel to give it a little bit more strength. Now this screen, it's actually glued onto the back case, and I'm gonna show you here. I don't know if I can zoom enough. You see right next to the top screw, you will have, there is a little bit of a glue which is exposed. Okay, so this glue will have to be pulled up slowly, so it will release. You have a strip of glue going down on the back of the screen, and when you pull up on it, it's gonna slowly give up its hold. So for that one, I will not recommend you to use a fine tip needle, fine tip tweezer, as it might actually cut the glue, but I'm using something like this. Okay, where the tips are not sharp and it has a little bit more force to catch. Now let's see how I can position the camera so you see what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna try to grab the glue. Okay, and now, as I mentioned, slowly pull up on it. Okay, this turned out to be a little bit more difficult than expected. So let's see here. Okay, the top one seems to be a little bit more difficult. This is the same system some of the Lenovo computers are using. Now you'll see that this tape, it's exposed not only on the top but also onto the bottom. So that's your tape right there. So let's try grabbing the tape from the bottom rather than from the top. Yeah, this one, it's actually slightly longer, so we're gonna use this here and slowly start to pull on it. Okay, you don't want to break it. Well, I don't know how much you guys can see. Let's reposition the camera. So you're gonna grab this. Now it's long enough to grab it with the fingers and just slowly pull on it down. Take your time. You really don't want to break it, as it's gonna make your job much more complicated. And we're just gonna pull slowly. Now if you're curious about the model number of the screen, once I remove it, I will show you the exact part number, as typically when you order a replacement screen, you wanna do so based on the model number of the actual screen rather than on the model number of the computer. And the reason for that being that even the same computer can use two different type of screens. So the bottom one is removed. Now we're gonna move to the other side of the screen, and we are going to repeat the same procedure. So we're gonna grab the tape with a fine tweezer. I'm gonna pull it from under the hinge, grab it with the thicker tweezer, and just enough so I can actually grab it with my fingers, and we're gonna pull down on it. Okay, now as you see in the first one that I removed, the difference between this computer and the Lenovo is that Lenovo pretty much they use a very long strip which goes all the way from the bottom to the top. These guys, they decided to use two different tapes. One on the bottom holds half the screen, and the one on the top, which we're gonna do in a little while. Now, word of advice: when you're pulling on the strip on the right hand side, make sure you don't press by mistake onto the power button, which is right there on the top right hand side. Therefore will turn on the computer on. Now, depending how bad the screen is damaged, if somewhat the backlight is gone in the screen and you press the power button, you won't know that the computer is on. Yes, I know it has a backlight keyboard, but that can be disabled and you're not gonna know that the computer is on, and you might short something. Okay, let's see, slowly pull down on it. Okay, so the other bottom one is removed, the tape. We're gonna put it on the side. You're not gonna be able to reuse this. It still has a little bit, it's still a little bit sticky, but it's not gonna be sticky enough to securely hold your screen. I'm gonna show you when I'm gonna mount the screen what tape you're able to use. And yeah, now we're gonna move on the top. Okay, just want to show that when the bottom one is removed, you can move the screen. You see, the screen pops up a little bit, but not enough to completely remove it. So we're gonna go on the top and we're gonna remove that tape. Now this one, they were a little bit, it's a little bit too short, so it's a little bit harder to actually grab, but I managed to pull it enough so I can grab it with my fingers, and we're gonna pull up on this guy. Okay, again, this is kind of hard to break it, but if you pull fast enough, the tape will break rather than come out clean. So take your time. And the top one is removed. Now the screen can be completely separated on one side. We're gonna move to the left side, and we're gonna repeat the same procedure. Okay. The other tweezer which I was mentioning comes in handy on the bottom one, but on the top one you'll need to use a fine tip tweezer, just enough that you expose the tape and you can actually grab it with your fingers. Go. And the fourth and the last tape piece is removed, and now you'll notice that the screen will easily come off. Okay, now on the back of the screen there is a 30-pin connector which is actually secured into place by this little tape. Now that's you'll put your tweezer, and do not touch the connection itself. Double check that the computer did not turn on while you laid the screen on the keyboard, so obviously the computer is still off. I bet there's gonna be some people which are gonna criticize me for actually not removing the battery prior of doing that, but again, in my case with this computer it is not needed, as I'm able to clearly see on the screen if the computer is being turned on. The keyboard backlight was not disabled, and also the screen, it's the backlight of the screen, it's fully functioning, so I will clearly see if the computer would be turned on. Now once we have the tape removed, let me zoom in a little bit. All you have to do, you'll have to push. You see there is a little ridge right there. Just push onto it slowly, and boom, the connection came loose. Now we have the screen completely removed from the computer. Okay, and the part number for this particular screen, I'm gonna try to zoom it as much as I can so you guys can actually see it. Oh, come on, focus. Okay, so the part number, the model number for this particular screen, it's B as in boy. Hi guys, sorry, my camera disconnected before I was able to actually read the model number. So again, the model number, it's B as in boy 156 HAN 02.1. Give me 1 second. The manufacturer, it's AU Optronics, and as you see, it's a 15.6 inch screen. Hi guys, so this is part 2 of the screen replacement from for the Acer Nitro 5. The reason why it's part 2 is because when I made the first video, I didn't have the screen in stock. I had to order it. I just received it today. That's the new screen. That's the old screen. Similar serial numbers. I mean, similar model numbers. So yeah, let's get back into it. Started from where we left it last time. So we have the computer, the Acer, which is opened up, and okay, just give me 1 second to arrange my camera. Okay, now that we have the new screen, you wanna actually test the screen before you go ahead and mount it, and before you get to glue it. So we're just gonna plug it in really quick. Just gonna put the connector, and as long as we get an image, we're not gonna do the whole tape as of now because it's not necessary yet. So with the connection in place, we're gonna go ahead and turn it on. Okay, as you see, we have the image right there, perfectly fine. So it's working, and here we go. We're gonna do a shutdown, and we can actually tape the screen back on. Now, as I mentioned, you can use different type of glues. What I typically use, it's this red tape, which you can find it on Amazon. It's double-sided tape, and this would be suitable for this particular project because, as you see, you have the metal bezel right here and the metal bezel on the side of the screen. So that's gonna make a very tight fit. It's gonna work just fine for those cases when you don't have that that metal band on the back of the on the top case. What this is, another tape I typically use. You can find it in any hardware store. It's a double-sided. It's a flexible double-sided tape. As you see, it is much thicker than this made by Scotch. It is much thicker than this one, but as I said, for this particular project, this tape is perfectly fine. So let's tape the screen. Okay. You can do 1 or 2 layers if you want. I mean, you can put it double depending on the thickness of the tape. I'm just gonna do 1. It should be plenty enough. Okay, making sure it properly adhered. I'm sorry, that's okay. On the right side. And there you go. There you have it. This tape is strong enough to hold the screen in place. Depending on which tape you have, you might want to add another one on the side, or if it's too thin for some projects, you can double it. That might work as well. Okay, now we're gonna get another tape to strengthen the connector right here, because this one obviously it is a little bit on the non-sticky side, just because it's been reused. So you can just use a regular tape right there, and just give me 1 second. You can skip over this part. I'm just fighting with this tape, trying to get the okay, just 1 second. I hate these tapes, as if you're not careful enough to isolate the end of it, it's gonna stick to itself. Okay, finally got this piece of tape, so we're gonna glue back the connector. Okay, we're gonna put this tape here on the back. Okay, we make sure it's snug. We're gonna test the screen one more time before we okay, so the screen works. Okay, you want to do that because once you're gonna use your own tape to secure the screen in place, it's gonna be that much harder to remove it. Okay, if you're able to find that tape which originally was here, the very flexible one, by all means use that one. I highly doubt that you're gonna find it anywhere, but you know, nevertheless, some people are more resourceful than others. So here we go, we're gonna lift the screen, let's see, and we're gonna put it into place. Okay, make sure that this cable, it goes through those see, it has a designated space where it has to go, otherwise the front bezel won't properly attach. So it has to go under that plastic piece right there, and on top and under this plastic piece right here. So it should stay very flush, very flat onto the back case. Okay, so with that said, let's tape the screen. I already exposed the sticky side of the glue, and okay, and here we go. The screen is properly put. As you see, when I'm putting it downwards, the screen doesn't go anywhere. Okay, it just stays in place. Okay, why don't you shut off? Okay, shut down. Now it's time to remove the plastic film from it. And there you go, nice and matte brand new screen. We're gonna pop this front bezel into place. Sorry, let me just the camera. Okay, so we're gonna I typically start from the top and just work my way downwards. Okay, do it until you hear that popping sound. Don't put too much pressure on it, but it should pop very easily. On the bottom, I'm just gonna go with my hands like that while holding my other hand in the back as okay, and there you go, there you have it. The hinge is perfect. Okay, I'm gonna try it one more time. Acer logo, my job is done. So yeah, that's how easy it is to change the screen in this particular Acer computers. Again, I got my screen off Amazon, so it was delivered in actually next day. You can use Amazon, or you can search for screen on a different websites. Again, why I'm mentioning this is because some people keep asking, well, where did you get your parts from? There's no like, it's not like I'm using a certain warehouse which is close to me because I'm a computer repair shop or anything, and the reason for that being that most of the warehouses practices prices which are actually higher than what you can find online, or if they're lower, the screen qualities are a little bit lower. I'm not talking about all the warehouses, but most of them they do. So that's why I'm using Amazon or eBay. The process of returning the item is also much easier should it not meet the quality requirements for a certain piece. So with that said, I hope I helped some of you guys, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me on my website. I'm not very good at answering messages on YouTube, and that's because of lack of time. So yeah, with that said, please, if this video helped, like the video, subscribe to my channel. More videos to come in the future. Thank you, have a good one.